Alright, so a little bit's happened since you last saw the dashboard. So just to summarize, I cleaned up all the wires and I hooked it all back up, tried to start the car, and same problem. So I did a couple things. So what we have is basically the ignition system having some kind of issue. So down here, and if you had a cruise control module, would go here, and this is where the igniter goes, right here. And took this off. It's just 2 bolts. It does have this ground thing that you need to make sure is grounded. And also, if you didn't know, this whole thing, the igniter itself grounds to the chassis, so you have to make sure holes are tight on the chassis, and of course these screws are tight onto the sink. So this is a questionable part. I don't know if this works or not. I don't have a tester to test it. So what I did do in the meantime, talk to a friend. He sent me out an igniter that works. So I just got this yesterday, so we'll open it up and try that. Out of due diligence, I went ahead and took all this back off. I actually tested the coils using the what's in the workshop manual, testing the resistance on each coil. Everything passed fine, within specification. Then I took the coil harness, tested for continuity, so no breaks there. And then I tested the coil harness back to the igniter harness, and I have good continuity there too. So I'm trying to rule out the harness. The one thing I didn't check is the igniter end that goes back to the ECU. So that is one last thing I will try. Worst case scenario, if this next part doesn't work. So I'm going to swap out the igniter and we'll see what it does. I also re-grounded the coil using a separate ground to the car. One, because I did do a battery relocation, and 2, it's just really important it has a good ground. So I did take a lot of things off there, so I was worried maybe something got, that was more directly connected to the iron got removed. So I just ran my whole separate ground. Can't hurt. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and put this new igniter on, and then we will give it a shot. There's one more thing I got, and there it is. I got a deal from someone that was selling their Power FC in addition to a data logic. So I got that. Very nice guy, met on the internet, and he sent me this, and he sent me this. Got a pretty good deal. So crossing my fingers, because if the igniter doesn't solve this problem, then honestly I'm going to have to really just say that it's either the ECU itself, or it could be the patch cable or the harness between the igniter and the ECU. So this guy was trying to get rid of it, making a deal, so I went and ahead and bought this. Now this is a newer ECU. It's actually the newer style ECU, and you can tell by the numbers. So the 3S4 is the newer version of this unit. The older version, you can find it as FDS2. The FDS2 and 4 are for the US domestic market, 93 through 95. So if you have one of these and you're not a US car, and it says, I believe it's 3 or 6, then those are basically non-US cars, and they're the 6, I believe, is a 32-bit processor as well. So these are still 16. Anyway, it won't work, my point. So make sure you have the right one. So as you can tell by the serial number in here, this is actually a very new ECU. It's probably about 2 years old. If you look at other ECUs out there, the serial number will be unique to the ECU itself, and this is going to be the actual model, and this is the serial. So if you look, at people's ECUs, you'll see like, 0427 or 0 something something or 2047, whatever it is. That's how much, basically how they made these and how they serialized them. So I feel pretty confident about this, and he just pulled this out of his car. He actually used the same size turbo, I believe. Now I don't know if he wiped out the tune or not, but he was nice enough to send me the tune for the data legit, which is right here. So I'll work on that. That'll be like a different video. So this is the backup plan. If this igniter does work and it's not the ECU, then what I'll do is I'll put this ECU in my car. This is newer. It has a newer commander, and then I'll sell my older ECU. Okay, so I got the old igniter off. It has this little bubbly part here. Hey, maybe that's some kind of indicator that's broken. I don't know. Probably not. Here's the one that my good friend sent me just to test out. So I'm just going to tighten this up. And you want to make sure these are tight, because this is a ground igniter. I'm going to try not to break your car. Okay. That's good. That's hooked up. That's hooked up. Everything's hooked up. This was for the cruise control that I took out. These are just random. Like, they just ran wires for sensors and stuff, so this will all be cleaned up if and when I get this thing running. So theoretically I could try to start it right now and we'll see how it goes. Okay, here we go. I got the battery hooked up, ECU is plugged in. In case you guys haven't seen, just a light here. So as you can see, the wires pretty much cleaned up. There's a few oddball ones that are actually being used for 50 million meters are in this car. Alright, let's see if this bad boy starts. Got pressure. Got some stuff on there. And let's give it a shot. Uno más. One thing you should always do is plug the accelerator cable back in. I'll do that just to see if I get some maybe gas to it, if that helps. Well, the saga continues, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up here. We tested all the harness from the igniter to the coils, tested the coils, replaced the igniter, which with an igniter that we know works. So, next step, need to replace the ECU, see if that does it. And I will also, since I'll be down there, be testing that patch cable or the harness that goes from the igniter to the ECU. It's just a long distance away, so I need to make some patch cables to hook up my meter to test it out. But I might as well just do that while I'm there, just so we can roll that out as well. So I'm really hoping it's not the ECU. I guess buyer beware in that sense. I did buy it secondhand, so we'll see. Like I said, I have a backup ECU just in case, but it'd be really nice to, sell the other one if it works. So that's it. Thanks for watching. Like I said, Saga continues. The joy of, owning a car that you put together with miscellaneous parts from across the world, literally. But that's how it goes sometimes. But, it's a challenge. It's a hobby. And if you're like me, you love it. It drives you. But you'll definitely have your ups and downs in this kind of business. But eventually we'll get there. So, next video, we'll be doing the install of the ECU, test the cables, and hopefully we can start this damn thing, because honestly, I don't know what else to replace after that. So, I'll see you then. Thanks.